Hi, it's Tammy again and welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm very excited because today I am making my lemon chiffon cake with lemon custard on top, and this thing is just so good. I mean, it is just so good. Now it does take a little bit of work, especially for the custard, but don't be intimidated by it. It really is easy to make. It's just kind of a constant type of work for it. Now the custard part is the biggest work. The cheesecake part, you just throw everything in one at a time, and I'll show you that in the video, one at a time until it gets really kind of fluffy. And then it's done beating. You put it in. Now one of the things that you want to be sure to do is that you're going to need a springform pan. And then you're going to wrap it with aluminum foil. Now one of the things that I learned is that you want the aluminum foil, the big stuff. Because if you use the regular sheet, what's going to happen is that it's going to be halfway, and even using two, water can get in there and possibly get on your crust. Then what you're going to do is you're going to put it in like this, then water goes in here, and then you bake it for almost an hour and a half at 300. And you really need to watch it once it hits that hour and 10 minutes, because you just want it lightly browned on top, because when you pull it out, it's going to get a little bit darker. Not too much darker, but it will continue to cook. So just know that you do need to watch it. Now it might still be a little bit jiggly in the middle, but that's okay. That's typical for cheesecake. It may not be jiggly in the middle. It just depends on how much you whip it also. All right? Enough said? Ready to get going? All right, let's get cooking. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is make your crust. That's 1 cup of flour, 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, 2 tablespoons of packed brown sugar, and 3 tablespoons of butter. Go ahead and throw it into your springform pan. Just push it all around so that you don't have any openings. Throw it in the oven at 300 degrees for 20 minutes and you're all done. So the cheesecake part is actually the easiest to make. You're just going to add one ingredient at a time. So start with your cream cheese, and then go ahead and throw in your Greek yogurt, let it incorporate, throw in your room temperature butter, let it incorporate, go ahead then and throw in your sweetened condensed milk, let that incorporate, and then add your next ingredients, which is your sugar and your salt. Go ahead and let that incorporate. Okay, then add your vanilla, and then 1 egg at a time. Make sure that you're adding 1 egg and then let it incorporate, then add the second egg. Next is your cornstarch. What you want to do is temper this like you did the eggs. You're going to add some batter to the cornstarch, completely mix it up, make sure there's no dry cornstarch, and then add that into your batter. And again, let that completely incorporate. The last thing you're going to add is your lemon. Now again, you're going to want to temper this so that you're not pouring this into this cheese batter, because it will curdle it. So add some batter into your lemon juice and then add it to the batter. Again, let it completely incorporate. Now what you want to do is your crust is out of the oven. It's probably a little bit warm, but that's okay. And go ahead and pour your batter into your crust. Once it's completely in there, you're going to set the whole thing into the oven, and you can see that it's in a second pan. To that second pan, you are going to fill that with water, but don't do that until you have that sitting in your oven. And then you gently close the door and you're all done. Okay, so the custard is the trickiest part. So you're going to add your milk and cream to your pan. Do not ever boil this. This is going to be medium-low at all times. So you're going to add the cream, your milk, your sugar, completely melt your sugar. Once the sugar is completely melted in there, you're going to add your butter. Make sure your butter is completely melted. Continue stirring at all times. Now you're going to temper your eggs. Take some of that hot mixture and whip it into your egg yolks. Take a little bit more, whip it in, take a little bit more, and whip it in. The last thing you want are those eggs to actually cook. Now you're going to pour it back into your pan and whip the entire time because you don't want it to stop moving. Keep whipping it until you've got all those eggs in there. Now you're going to put in your salt. Keep stirring. You've got to keep stirring. Now I don't use anything but the whip at this point. Now you're going to temper your cornstarch the same way you did your eggs. You want those fully incorporated. You don't want any of the powder showing at all. Continue to whip, and you should be able to whip that right into your hot mixture. And you shouldn't get any lumps from that at all. Now at this point you also want to temper your lemon juice the same way and go ahead and add it in, and now it's just 10 to 20 minutes of stirring, constant stirring. You don't want it to build up on the bottom at all. So you can see I'm just whipping it, and every once in a while pick it up, take it off of the heat and mix it all up, because otherwise you're going to get lumps in there, and that's what you don't want. So just keep stirring it. It's constant stirring once you add the lemon juice, and once you add those eggs, it's a constant stirring. How you tell if it's done is you take a spoon, you test the back of it. If there's no drips, it's done. Once your cake is out of the oven, you can see here it's just lightly browned. You're going to want to take it out of that water pan. Be very, very careful. You also want to make sure that there's no water in the bottom of the aluminum foil. Again, be very, very careful. Once it's out, let it cool for a couple hours and you're done. Go ahead and put the custard on top and put it in the refrigerator for 6 hours and it's finished.
Alright, so how were those videos? Did you find them confusing? No? That's because you guys are so darn smart. Now, the only thing that I want to remind you of is on the custard. You need to, once you add those eggs, to stir it continuously. Don't stop. Now, I don't stir, I actually use a wire whisk. I find that if I use a spoon, stuff sticks to the bottom that I can't get to, or even a rubber spatula, I can't get to everything. With the whisk, I find that it keeps moving and I don't have a problem, all right? So just remember that. It's really, really important. Now, the consistency is, you can see that it's not real thick. The consistency of that is once it starts to get thick, do your spoon test. Test the back of the spoon. As long as it doesn't drip, you're gold. All right, you don't want it thick like pudding because otherwise it's not going to spread, and it doesn't really have enough eggs to ever get as thick as pudding. This is what you want. Isn't that, it's so good. You really need to give this a try. All right, so that's about it. If you have any questions, you can find a direct link to this recipe down in the description. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. Go over to my website. You're going to find other recipes, DIY, photography, art, and a few other odds and ends. All right? So remember, enjoy life. It's the one you have. Bye-bye.